Should you start investing or pay off debt? Many of us have faced this question at some point. Why pay off debt if you could use that money to make more money than the debt is costing you? Is it better to invest extra money so it grows and generates exponential returns for your future? Or is it better to use it to pay down or at least reduce debt you've made? Although either option is reasonable, you might be shocked by the difference that this small choice can make. In some circumstances, these decisions could ultimately make the difference between hundreds, thousands, or even millions of dollars. A way to save money for the future is to invest it, ideally in a stock, bond, or mutual fund that will increase in value over time. On the other hand, debt is money that you have already spent and for which a lender is charging interest. Unpaid debt will continue to increase as interest charges add to your total and generates additional interest charges. The general rule of thumb is that you should try to constantly contribute to 3 buckets: debt payments, retirement, and an emergency fund. What criteria are crucial for both investing and paying down debt? Financial goals. Figuring out how to balance each goal can be challenging. Here are a few things to think about. Debt interest rates. You can never succeed with credit cards since the interest rates are too high. Be as disciplined as you can and set yourself on a plan to pay off your credit card debt. The best method is to compare the annual percentage rate on your credit card to the rate of return on your investments. Historically, the average rate of return on stock market investments has been approximately 10%, whereas the average annual percentage rate, APR, for credit cards has been above 20%. Therefore, unless you have a significant amount of investments, you end up losing money overall if you invest while having credit card debt, because you are probably paying a larger interest rate on your debt than you are earning from your investments. While some debt interest rates are typically lower, such as those on student loans and mortgages, you don't need to fight them as aggressively as you would with debts with higher interest rates. According to the US Securities and Exchange Commission, a good rule of thumb when choosing which debts to pay off first is to prioritize loans with an interest rate of 8% or more and have no tax benefits. When deciding how aggressively to pay off debts, it's also crucial to consider your credit use rate. Your credit scores decrease as your credit card balances increase. You'll pay higher interest rates when you need to borrow money again if you don't bring your credit use under control. Time until retirement. You should generally avoid carrying debt into retirement. However, certain loans are worse than others. If you're close to retirement age but far from your financial goal, you might need to put in more hours at work, make spending cuts, or start making catch-up contributions after age 50. However, some debts have tax advantages as well. For instance, interest on school loans and some mortgage interest payments are deductible. There are 2 unique types of interest you pay on consumer debt: tax-deductible interest and non-deductible interest. Typically, mortgage interest is a tax deductible. So is interest paid on student loans and money borrowed to buy investment property, including stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. A specific amount of home equity debt is deductible for tax years before 2018. But as far as 2018, you may no longer deduct the interest you pay on this kind of loan unless you use it to buy, build, or sustainably improve your home. Credit card and car loan interest is not deductible. If you get a windfall, such as an inheritance or a bonus at work, you should first set aside an emergency fund with 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses, because it might take that long to find a new job with a similar salary. According to some other experts, you should set aside that many months worth of expenses in your emergency fund by dividing your annual pay by 10,000. For instance, if your income is $60,000, you have to save enough money for 6 months worth of spending. Consider dividing small windfalls into debt, 60% and investments 40%. If you receive a large windfall, think about speaking with a financial advisor about how to use the money in a way that advances your goals. Use a 0% balance transfer or refinance. Your choice between paying off debt and investing may change if you have the chance to refinance at a reduced rate or take advantage of a 0% balance transfer promotion. Either approach will enable you to lower your interest charges, which will lower your monthly debt payments and raise your savings rate. This benefits your financial situation both now and in the short, mid, and long-term futures. The tricky part of this plan is not giving in to want to use the old cards you're paying off for purchases. However, if you show discipline, it may be achievable to pay your debt for a lot less money. Also, it allows earlier and larger investments in retirement and non-retirement accounts. Why you should keep investing. Before being completely debt-free, many people decide to invest their extra money. The reason behind this is that they could make significant profits because the return on their investments could be much higher than the interest on their debts. When you might earn 10% or more on your investments, does it really make sense to pay off debt at a 5% interest rate? If you wait to start investing after becoming debt-free, you risk missing out on years' worth of compound interest that could have helped you increase your wealth. Risk is the main consideration when selecting whether to aggressively reduce debt or make more investments, since when you pay off loans, you practically have a guaranteed return. If you pay off a debt for which a credit card company is charging 30% interest, you will have earned 30% without taking any risks. Risk is always a part of investing, but is it possible to invest in the S&P 500 and get a 10% return or higher? Yes. According to Investopedia, the S&P 500 has grown by an average of more than 10% a year since its debut. The market has, however, sometimes returned negatively. The S&P 500 returned a negative 10% return in 2000, followed by a negative 13% return in 2001 and a negative 23% return in 2002. After that, there were some lucrative years until 2008, when it returned a negative 38. Over the long term, the chances are in your favor that you're going to make a profit, but returns aren't guaranteed, so it's important to keep it in mind when executing your financial strategy. Cash flow is undoubtedly a significant advantage that could free up your budget, which is crucial for older investors who are preparing for retirement. Your primary focus should be cash flow, not which method will generate a higher return in 30 years. When choosing a plan, risk must also be taken into account, and this must be understood. People have strong opinions on the subject, but the facts accurately portray each scenario. It is your responsibility to weigh the risks and rewards to determine which course of action is best for you. In general, using low-interest loans and paying off high-interest loans will result in the most long-term benefit. Also, think about combining the two strategies of investment and paying down debt over time with excess money. Should you invest or pay off your car? Depending on your entire financial status and the interest rates on the loan, you should decide whether to invest or pay off your car. When you pay off your loan early, you become the legal owner of your car, which can be useful if you need to sell it pretty quickly. Before you pay off your car or make investments, you might want to pay off any high-interest debt you have. It makes sense to pay off your car loan if it has a high interest rate before making an investment. That's it for this video. Since you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. Check if you haven't subscribed yet so you don't miss any of our videos, and of course, leave a comment. It is an admirable situation to have some extra money, but only you can decide whether to invest it or use it to pay off your debts. However, any usage is preferable than just spending money. And whichever path you choose, you'll be in a better financial position than you were before.